She was the villain. She was the third person in the marriage. She needed to rehabilitate her image.
You and your brother both directly asked your dad not to marry Camilla.
Yes.
Why?
We didn't think it was necessary.
UK is reeling from explosive revelations that Prince Harry and Prince William have spilled about Queen Camilla's secret maneuvers. Allegations of leaked press stories and clandestine alliances are rattling Buckingham Palace.
You wrote that she started a campaign in the British press to pave the way for a marriage, and you wrote, "I even wanted Camilla to be happy. Maybe she'd be less dangerous if she was happy."
Forcing many to question her true influence over King Charles. Once dismissed as rumors, these shocking claims offer an inside look at decades-long deep family tensions. Could Camilla's ambition have crossed a line? Camilla's role in Charles and Diana's marriage. Camilla's role in Charles and the late Princess Diana's marriage was both complicated and in its effect. Long before Diana even met Charles, Camilla was in his history and life as a friend and later as a romantic partner. Although Charles and Diana had their own early challenges, Camilla's continued presence added stress and suspicion.
The British monarchy was coloured by the affair between Charles and Camilla and the way in which that had broken up what seemed to be the dream marriage.
Diana found herself fighting for her husband's attention, aware that he still cared deeply for Camilla. Some say Camilla and another girlfriend of Charles helped pick Diana for him, knowing they could maintain their place in his life. This set the stage for a marriage haunted by a third person in the background. As Diana tried to settle into royal duties, she noticed that Camilla never went away. Charles and Camilla found ways to spend time together, leaving Diana feeling betrayed. Before William and Harry were born, Camilla was on Diana's mind. One story claims that a pregnant Diana threatened to throw herself down the stairs unless Charles ended the affair. This showed how desperate Diana felt. Over time, Diana's heartache grew, and her marriage suffered. She famously said there were 3 of them in that marriage, and everyone knew who she meant. Camilla, meanwhile, was careful about how she presented herself. She had her own marriage when this all began, but that did not stop her connection to Charles. Still, many blame her for helping create an environment that pushed Diana away. After Diana passed away, Camilla took steps to improve her image. She changed her look, got help with styling, and tried to seem more friendly to the public. However, in the eyes of William and Harry, she remained the person who caused their mother so much pain. Over time, she married Charles and worked to support him as heir to the throne. Yet, critics argue that Camilla always looked out for her own interests first, even if it meant leaking stories about other royals to the press. She relied on certain friends to share information that could boost her reputation. While some see her as a figure who simply loves Charles, others view her as the master planner of royal drama. Either way, Camilla's influence on the marriage of Charles and Diana left deep scars. Many people still wonder if Diana and Charles could have been truly happy together, had Camilla not been in the picture from the start.
We'll have people looking back on the good times and the bad times, like Charles and Diana's spectacular wedding, the royal couple standing on the balcony of Buckingham Palace there, and of course, the heartache that was to follow, a crisis that rocked the royal family.
In the end, her presence changed royal history and shapes views on Charles and Diana's legacy. William and Harry's initial feelings toward Camilla. William and Harry's early feelings toward Camilla were shaped by confusion, sadness, and a sense of betrayal. As children, they sensed the tension between their parents, but did not fully understand it. The boys only realized the full impact of Camilla on their family when Charles admitted his infidelity in 1992. William was around 10, and Harry was about 7. Seeing their father's confession on TV shocked them, and young Harry even asked William, "Is that the other lady?" This moment began their complicated view of Camilla, who had long been present in Charles's life. They had never actually met her until 1998, 10 months after Princess Diana's tragic death. When their father finally arranged a meeting, both boys felt uneasy. Camilla herself was said to be shaking with nerves before meeting William. She knew how important it was to gain their acceptance, yet the memory of Diana's heartbreak lingered for both sons. William was 17 at the time, and he tried his best to be polite while still protecting the memory of his mother. Harry, only 13, was less prepared for this new person who had, in his eyes, helped cause his parents' problems. Though they hoped their father could find happiness, they did not want him to marry Camilla. Early on, they saw her as the reason their mother had felt so hurt. Camilla's attempts to appear friendly and motherly did not erase the years of tension behind the scenes. Reports suggest Camilla took a cautious approach. She let William and Harry set the tone for their relationship, knowing she could never replace Diana. Still, she hoped to find a respectful understanding with them. For her part, Camilla knew the public judged her harshly, and gaining favor with Charles's sons was crucial to any hope of acceptance.
You'll see that everyone bows and curtsies to the king, and no one moves a limb, a muscle, when Camilla passes. And that was because they were angry with Camilla.
Over time, William became more cordial toward her, but sources say he never forgot the pain she caused Diana. Harry, on the other hand, held a deeper grudge, seeing Camilla as a figure who had manipulated the press and caused turmoil in their lives. Their feelings evolved as they grew older, yet they remained conflicted. They valued their father's happiness, but they struggled with how Camilla's presence had forever changed their family. In private, they confronted the awkward truth that this was the woman who had once been the other lady, the person they believed had broken their mother's heart. Publicly, they were urged to put on a supportive face. It was truly complicated. Camilla's alleged manipulations. From the start, many people close to the British royals say Camilla deployed clever tactics to shape how the public saw her. They claim she wasn't afraid to leak stories to the press if it could help distance her from the other woman label. According to Prince Harry, some of those stories targeted Kate Middleton, making her sound lazy or unprepared for royal life. By casting Kate in a less flattering light, Camilla hoped to highlight her own dedication as she adapted to her future role. Behind closed doors, Camilla reportedly fostered friendships with key reporters who could sway opinion in her favor. She is said to have framed certain events in a way that would earn her sympathy, while pointing the finger at others, including Princess Diana during her marriage to Charles. Harry called this a betrayal of trust, describing how private details about Diana, and later about William, Harry, and even Kate, ended up fueling tabloid headlines. Insiders also mention that Camilla's influence extended to Charles, convincing him to pressure William to make decisions about his relationship with Kate. Back in 2007, William briefly broke up with her, and rumors suggest Camilla was partially behind that move.
2007, in a countryside town in Scotland. William planned to join them but ultimately decided against it. Naturally, this didn't sit well with his girlfriend of many years.
Her view of Kate as too common for royal status may have driven her to steer Charles in that direction. Though they reconciled quickly, the rift left lingering doubts about Camilla's intentions. Beyond the William and Kate tensions, Camilla has been linked to the effort to keep Harry and Meghan at a distance. She allegedly believes allowing them back into the fold could bring more drama and overshadow her and Charles. According to some sources, her stance is firm. Harry's troubles with the family remain his own doing, so any peace offering is up to him. While some observers argue that Camilla is merely protecting her family and reputation, others see a pattern of manipulation. They believe her willingness to share private information breaks the trust expected within a family, even if it helps secure her place as queen. Whether she acted ruthlessly or simply did what she felt was necessary, there's no denying her actions sparked a great deal of tension. In the end, the question remains whether her strategies brought her the acceptance she craved or simply fueled deeper divides within the royal family. With every secret revealed, royal watchers debate whether her methods were truly justified. Camilla's story shows how private ambitions can ignite large-scale drama, leaving the monarchy forever changed. Tensions between Camilla and Kate Middleton. Tensions between Camilla and Kate Middleton have long simmered behind the palace walls. Right from the start, Camilla reportedly opposed William's decision to date Kate, seeing her as too common for the royal family. She has aristocratic tastes and believed Kate's background, which included a mother who once worked as a flight attendant and ancestors who were coal miners, did not measure up to the old-world status she thought a future queen should have. In 2007, rumors suggest that Camilla whispered in Charles's ear, telling him to urge William to either propose to Kate or end the relationship. William eventually chose to break up with Kate for a short time, which shocked the public.
A few nights after Prince William took Kate Middleton out for an early Valentine's Day date at a London nightclub back in 2007, he returned to the club, only this time he didn't invite his girlfriend.
While they soon reconciled, this incident left lasting doubts about Camilla's intentions. Kate learned about these behind-the-scenes moves, which caused strain in their relationship from that point on. As both women became more prominent in the royal family, their differences reportedly grew. Camilla prided herself on working hard at public engagements, tallying hundreds of official events a year. Meanwhile, Kate focused on raising her children and maintaining a strong family life. Camilla allegedly leaked stories to the press, suggesting Kate wasn't dedicated enough to royal duties. This painted Kate in an unfair light and made the tension between them even deeper. Behind closed doors, it is said that the two women remained cordial out of respect for the monarchy, but a genuine peace never fully formed. Kate, who is described by insiders as kind and thoughtful, struggled to balance her personal style of motherhood with Camilla's more traditional approach to royal life. Camilla felt strongly that being a royal meant constant public duty, while Kate wanted to devote time to her young family. Such differences in outlook caused friction. Camilla's alleged efforts to undermine Kate further damaged any chance of closeness. Even as Charles ascended the throne, the distance between them did not fade. William, protective of Kate, was upset at Camilla for meddling. Though they all maintain a polite front at public events, insiders say there are signs of strain, like subtle comments or uneasy body language. These tensions might linger for years to come, shaped by class views, personal values, and the quest for approval within the royal family. Whether they will ever fully embrace each other as allies remains uncertain, leaving observers to wonder if the rivalry will continue to define their relationship. Time will reveal if mutual respect can truly bridge the gap between them.
Royal author Penny Junor revealed that while it's not entirely clear how early Harry learned about the relationship between Camilla and Charles, William knew who Camilla was and understood just how his mother felt about her.
Camilla's relationship with William and Harry as adults. Camilla's relationship with William and Harry as adults has always been a delicate balancing act. Throughout their childhood, they knew her as the person who caused their mother so much pain. Although they wanted their father to find happiness, they felt uneasy accepting Camilla into the family. When Charles ultimately decided to marry her, both brothers feared that the public would view Camilla as taking Diana's place. Privately, they resented the idea of someone they saw as the other woman stepping into an official royal role. Over time, Camilla attempted to build bridges with William and Harry, but her success was limited. She tried to let them set the pace, hoping not to appear intrusive or dismissive of their mother's memory. At public events, they showed polite respect toward her, yet insiders claimed their private interactions remained cool. Camilla's sense of humor and relaxed nature, qualities Charles adored, were not always enough to break the lingering tension with his sons. Harry, in particular, has been outspoken about his belief that Camilla leaked stories to the press in order to improve her image. In his view, she manipulated coverage of the royal family, sometimes casting him, William, or even Kate in a negative light to draw focus away from herself. This only deepened his distrust. William, meanwhile, kept a more measured distance, not openly criticizing her, but also never forming a close bond. When Charles assumed the throne, Camilla's influence grew. She became a key figure by his side, advising on various decisions, including how to handle Harry and Meghan's estrangement. While Charles often wanted to reconcile with Harry, Camilla was said to be less inclined to welcome him back without conditions. Some sources suggested she blamed Harry for stirring negative headlines that overshadowed her new role. As adults, both William and Harry saw firsthand how Camilla managed her public image. She underwent makeovers, adjusted her approach to royal duties, and forged relationships with reporters in an effort to move past the reputation of being the other woman. However, William and Harry's memories of their mother's heartbreak never fully faded. Their interactions with Camilla grew more matter-of-fact than warm. Camilla's influence and the future of the monarchy. Camilla's influence within the British monarchy has been significant, shaping relationships, decisions, and public perceptions in ways few initially expected. From her early days as Prince Charles's companion, she positioned herself as a supportive presence, even when her involvement sparked controversy.
Until now, mindful of the sensitivities around Camilla's role in the breakdown of Charles's first marriage, it had been intended that she would become princess consort.
Over the years, her reputation evolved from the other woman to that of Queen Camilla, highlighting her ability to navigate royal customs and secure her place beside Charles. At the core of her power is her close bond with Charles. Insiders note that she has his ear on major decisions, including those involving his sons, William and Harry. Camilla's influence reportedly played a part in pushing William to consider whether to continue dating Kate Middleton, reflecting her belief in traditional aristocratic values. Although the couple eventually married, many say this early conflict caused lingering tensions that have never fully healed. When it comes to Harry and Meghan, Camilla has allegedly taken a firm stance, discouraging Charles from making offers of reconciliation. She is seen by some as protective of the monarchy's integrity, while others view her as overly strict and resistant to change. This same steadfastness also characterizes her management of royal duties. Determined to prove her worth, Camilla has embraced a rigorous schedule of events, very much echoing the late Queen Elizabeth II's sense of purpose. With Charles now on the throne, observers note that Camilla's role continues to grow. She oversees aspects of court life once managed by the Queen, aiming to maintain cherished traditions while subtly putting her stamp on the institution. However, her rise has not come without public debate. Critics argue that her path to the crown caused deep family wounds, particularly with William and Harry, who have never fully accepted her. Looking ahead, the monarchy's future appears to rest largely on William and Kate, who are widely admired for their modern approach. Yet Camilla's elevated status cannot be overlooked. She still holds sway over Charles, and her counsel could significantly impact the institution's direction. Whether this results in a more inclusive royal family or exacerbates existing divisions remains to be seen. For now, it is clear that Camilla's influence has become a lasting part of the monarchy's story. As Britain adapts to King Charles's reign, her decisions may either strengthen the royal household or deepen the controversies that have shadowed it for decades. In 2004, the movie called The Passion of the Christ shook the world. Directed by Mel Gibson, the movie was an emotional and spiritual roller coaster that left audiences speechless. But behind the powerful performances and gripping scenes is a story that is just as intense. Mel Gibson, the mastermind behind the project, had a chilling warning for Jim Caviezel, the actor chosen to portray Jesus Christ. What led Mel Gibson to issue this dire warning, and what sacrifices did Jim Caviezel make to bring this iconic role to life? Stay tuned to find out how this one film changed lives forever. How Mel Gibson's Hollywood journey led him to making in The Passion of Christ. Mel Gibson's journey to creating The Passion of the Christ started long before he even thought about directing a movie. Born on January 3, 1956, in Peekskill, New York, Mel was the sixth of 11 children in a big Catholic family. When he was 12, his father, Hutton Gibson, moved the family to Australia in 1968. This move wasn't just about a change of scenery. It was because Hutton wanted to protect his family from the cultural changes happening in America at the time. Little did Mel know, this decision would lead to him eventually creating one of the most talked-about films in history. In Australia, Mel didn't start off as someone who dreamed of being a movie star. In fact, he wanted to be a journalist, but his sister saw something in him and sent in an application for him to attend the National Institute of Dramatic Art, also known as NIDA, in Sydney. Mel got in, and soon he was learning about theater, acting, and storytelling. By the time he graduated in the late 1970s, Mel had already started appearing in small plays and television shows, slowly building his confidence. Mel's big break came in 1979 when he starred in Mad Max, a low-budget Australian film that unexpectedly became a worldwide hit. The story of a man surviving in a dangerous post-apocalyptic world resonated with audiences, and Mel's intense performance caught everyone's attention. With the success of Mad Max, Mel was suddenly thrust into the spotlight. 2 years later, he reprised his role in Mad Max 2, The Road Warrior, which made him an international star. But fame wasn't always easy for Mel. Hollywood, with all its glitz and glamour, was a world very different from the simpler life he had grown up with. Mel described it as exciting but also lonely, and filled with people who only cared about money. Even as he worked on successful films, he felt out of place. He felt like Hollywood was focused on making blockbusters, not on telling meaningful stories. By the early 1990s, Mel wanted more control over the stories he was a part of. That's when he decided to try his hand at directing. In 1993, he directed his first movie, The Man Without a Face. The film was about a man who had been shunned by society and was searching for redemption. It wasn't a huge hit, but it showed that Mel had a talent for working behind the camera. Then, in 1995, Mel directed Braveheart. The movie, which he also starred in, told the story of William Wallace.
Sons of Scotland! I am William Wallace.
William Wallace is 7 feet tall.
Yes, I've heard.
A Scottish warrior fighting for freedom. Braveheart was a massive success, winning 5 Academy Awards, including Best Picture and Best Director. The film proved that Mel wasn't just a great actor. He was also a visionary filmmaker. But even with all the praise, Mel felt like something was missing. Around this time, Mel began to reflect more deeply on his faith. Growing up in a religious family, he had always believed in God, but his time in Hollywood had made him feel distant from his spiritual roots. He started to think about how he could use his talents to tell a story that would inspire people and bring them closer to their faith. The idea for The Passion of the Christ came to him in the late 1990s. Mel had been reading the Bible and reflecting on the sacrifices Jesus made. He realized that most movies about Jesus only scratched the surface of what really happened during the crucifixion. He wanted to make a film that showed the raw, painful truth of Jesus' final hours, a film that would help people understand the depth of his sacrifice. But when Mel started pitching his idea to Hollywood studios, he faced a lot of rejection. Many studio executives didn't think a movie about Jesus, especially one told in ancient languages like Aramaic and Latin, would make money. Some even thought the idea was too controversial. Mel was undeterred. He believed in his vision so strongly that he decided to fund the film himself, putting $30 million of his own money into the project. This was a huge risk. If the movie failed, Mel could lose everything he had worked for. But for him, it wasn't about the money. It was about creating something meaningful. He assembled a dedicated cast and crew and began filming in Italy in 2002. The process was grueling, with long hours and intense scenes that pushed everyone involved to their limits. When The Passion of the Christ was finally released on February 25, 2004, it became one of the most talked about movies of the year. Looking back, Mel's journey to making The Passion of the Christ was anything but easy. It was shaped by his early years in Australia, his rise to fame in Hollywood, and his desire to tell stories that mattered. Now, while the movie made him a lot of money, Mel faced a lot of public backlash, specifically related to the actor that played the role of Jesus, Jim Caviezel. But before all this happened, Mel actually warned Jim about the issues he might face if he played this role. Keep watching to find out what happened next. Mel's revelation about Jesus' role in the movie and the backlash he received. When Mel Gibson began working on The Passion of the Christ, he knew the story he wanted to tell was unlike anything Hollywood had ever done before. For him, the role of Jesus wasn't just another character in a movie. It was a deeply spiritual responsibility, one that carried immense weight. Mel believed that portraying Jesus required not only exceptional acting, but also a deep personal connection to the faith and message behind the character. Mel found Jim Caviezel, an actor who shared his Christian faith and was willing to take on the role. But from the very beginning, Mel was honest with Jim about what this decision could mean for him. Mel warned Jim that taking this role could end his career.
He called me, he says, if you do this movie, you may never work in this town again. I don't want to be responsible for that.
Hollywood was a place that often shied away from religious topics, especially ones as controversial as The Passion of the Christ. The film's subject matter, combined with its unflinching portrayal of Jesus' suffering, was bound to bring up debates and criticism. Despite the warning, Jim didn't hesitate. For him, playing Jesus wasn't just an acting job. It was a calling. He felt a deep connection to the role and believed it was his purpose to bring the story of Jesus to life. Jim knew the risks, but his faith gave him the courage to move forward. He once said, "This role is not about my career. It's about truth and faith."
I'd never been a guy who would sell his soul to get, money or fame. Was never my goal. It was to serve my faith, my God.
On set, Jim's performance as Jesus was extraordinary. He approached the role with humility and dedication, spending countless hours studying scripture and praying. He wanted to understand not just the physical pain Jesus endured, but also the emotional and spiritual burden of carrying humanity's sins. Every expression, every word, and every movement Jim brought to the screen was infused with this understanding, but the journey wasn't easy. Filming The Passion of the Christ was one of the most challenging experiences Jim had ever faced. The crucifixion scenes, in particular, were both physically and emotionally grueling. During one take, Jim was struck by lightning.
I could feel the suctioning occur. And then it was probably more like 3 seconds. It felt like 5, but it was probably less than that. And then boom.
In another, he dislocated his shoulder while carrying the heavy cross. The freezing weather and long hours only added to the difficulty. But through it all, Jim remained committed, seeing the pain as a way to connect more deeply with the suffering of Jesus.
For so many days that we were shooting the Golgotha scene where he's up on the cross. This is when he's being crucified. And there would be winds of 40 miles an hour.
Jim also described moments on set that felt surreal, even otherworldly. During the crucifixion scenes, he said time seemed to slow down, and he felt an overwhelming sense of peace despite the pain. He later shared that he experienced what he believed was an out-of-body moment, as if his spirit was watching everything unfold from above. The atmosphere on set was often described as sacred, with cast and crew members moved to tears during filming.
On the cross, I had to stay in a position for 8-9 minutes while they had all the 3 cameras rolling. And I literally put all my weight into one leg and keep it in a squat position while the left leg hung over it.
Despite the powerful impact of the film and the dedication Jim brought to the role, the backlash was immediate. When The Passion of the Christ was released in 2004, it became one of the most talked about movies of the year. But the controversy surrounding the film overshadowed much of its success, particularly for Jim. Critics accused the film of being too violent, while others claimed it promoted anti-Semitism. The intense reactions from audiences and media created a polarizing environment. While many praised the film for its honesty and spiritual depth, others dismissed it as divisive and offensive. Leave your opinions in the comment section. Remember to like, share, and subscribe for more. Also, click the following video shown on your screen. You will enjoy it.